Hi there, welcome back. Now today we're going to focus on the three pieces that you're assigned today that you're going to be playing. The first one is going to be on page 104. At the bottom of the page, it's called Pop Goes the Weasel. Most of us may know this piece, so we'll already know what the rhythm is like. But for those of us who don't, we will be tapping the rhythm first before we start to play. But we want to look at some things about the piece before we just put our fingers on the keyboard. First of all, let's see what is the time signature here. All right, it's in 6/8, so it's our new time signature. If we look above the piece, we will see what the tempo is, which will help us to know if we're going to be counting it in 1 or 2. Or in 6 or 2, excuse me. Okay, this says it's in spiritoso. So what do you think that means? It means quickly, or with spirit. Obviously, that will not be a slow tempo. And what is our key signature? I see no sharps or flats, and as we have only been playing major keys, we can look to see what the piece ends in and what is the first note. Do you see any chromaticisms in this piece to indicate anything other than the key of C? I do not. The first note is a C, and it ends on a C. Okay, then we're going to look and see if there are any patterns in here, any rhythmic patterns or note patterns. Okay, so if you look at the beginning, it's da 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 da, and then if you look at the third and fourth measures, they start out similarly, but they're not exactly the same. But if you go to the second line at the beginning, it looks identical to me as the first two measures of the first line. So that's important to note. Then we want to look at our hand position. It appears this is in a C 5-finger hand position. So what are we going to do first before we even start playing? We're going to warm up by playing that C 5-finger hand position. Now we're going to look through the music and see if there's anything unusual about any places where we may have to cross a finger or stretch a finger to an interval that may not apply to the fingering we're normally. What I mean is if we had an open fifth with a C as 1 and a G as 5, do we see any place in this piece where we might have 1 and 5 again, but it isn't a fifth? Because sometimes if we just look at our fingering, we may assume it's a fifth when maybe it isn't. And if you look in the 7th measure, you will see, and it even says stretch. What interval is that? It is a 6th, correct. So we will have to stretch up from our 5th that we normally have our 5 on and make the 5 play the A, which will make it a 6th. So you don't want to forget to do that and just be following the finger numbers and thinking it's going to be exactly where you would assume it would be. Okay, so let's tap this piece first, and then that will be good. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let's do it one more time. And it's going to be fast, so we're going to count it in 2, and let's follow one more time. For not saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, unless we do all it under our breath. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Very good. Okay, I'm going to leave the rest with you. I don't think there's any problems that I can see that you need me to be playing it for you. If you look at the left hand, it's pretty straightforward. I think you have almost the same pattern all the way through, where your finger, if you're in a C position, and finger 3 falls right where it ought to fall on an E, and just follow those notes. You shouldn't have any problem with this piece, I don't think. Okay, let's move to page 105, and let's go to number 2, Dip Your Bread, Marie. Now we're going to have a different key. What key do you see that this one is in? With 1 flat. What have we learned? What key signature has one flat. F, correct. Let's look for sure and see if it appears to be that way. The tonic, the home key at the end of the piece, is an F triad. So we know that's a good sign. We usually like to come home at the end. And if you look at the beginning of the piece, it actually starts on the tonic as well. So this piece is also in 6/8, and it is allegretto. So we know that that is also going to be fast, but not quite as fast as allegro, remember? So in this one, we're also going to look and see if you see any patterns. If you look at the first two measures and compare those to measures 5 and 6 on the second line, they appear to be identical. If you see the slur over the whole first line, you'll see that is a first phrase, and you see another slur on the second line, which is a second phrase. Now we're also looking for any kind of odd fingering here, and if you see in the first measure where it says crossover, this is a situation where you start out playing 3, 1, 1 on the F, and this time the two second fingers got to cross over that thumb in order to cover the note that's right below the F 5-finger position. So you might practice that a few times and practice that measure alone a few times until you get it. The left hand again seems pretty straightforward with an open fifth of the F, part of the F chord. The only place that we vary that is, again, like in the last piece, we have to stretch one time to an interval of a sixth if you look in the third measure. I think this one is also very straightforward. If you do look in the next to the last measure, you will see that you have an eighth rest at the beginning of what we would call the second beat. It's actually the fourth eighth note. And you see the little line that's going from the C in the bass clef up to the D in the treble clef. That is indicating that that C in the bass clef is actually part of the melody that is going to be played by the left hand. The rest of the melody is with the right hand, but in that one place right there, that single C is going to be part of the melody. So I'm going to tap this out with you and then, or clap this with you, and then I believe this one you will be able to handle your own self. So I'll give you a full measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go. 1, 2. Good. When you play this piece, I want you to go back and refer to this clapping that we just did, because sometimes I feel like the hardest point that you have is in getting your rhythm correctly. So I want you to tap it, and in fact, when you play the piece, it might not be a bad idea to play it along with this video of the tapping and see if your rhythm is going to be the same. Okay, we're quickly going to just look at the last piece, Blow the Wind Southerly on 106. And this one is in what key? We have 3 sharps, and we go up a half step from the last sharp, G sharp, and we find we're in the key of A. This one also is pretty straightforward. There are a few leaps, and you have to also go over from your thumb below and hit the 2 finger again, just like you did before, crossing over. But if you look at the third measure at the end, you see where you have the D going up to the E, the treble E, and then you have a full octave jump down to the E of E4. So that is going to be the only place that you really have to be careful about your fingering. If you look at patterns, it appears that it is identical. Both lines are the same. So obviously you will encounter having to cross over with your right hand, and you will also have to encounter that octave leap. Your left hand is simply going up an A major 5-finger pattern on dotted quarter notes. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then it does it again. So the right hand, this one is larghetto, which is going to be slower, which means we're going to actually count this one in 6. And so let's do that together and we will be done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, off, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, tied, 5, 6. Very good. I do encourage you to look at your dynamic markings between the two. Why do you think they're different? Because the lines are the same, the phrases are identical, and so you don't want to play them exactly the same. It would be quite boring. So you see the slur line over the first phrase, and you see another one over the second phrase. So if you have any questions, we can discuss this one in our one-on-one conversation. But I think this one should also be self-explanatory for you. Alrighty, good luck.